sound of duet, don't you? Commotion at number 13. Tony Blackman here, picking the pops from BBC Radio 2. What out front today, go up to somebody in a shop, tap them on the shoulder and go,
It sounds like that down the town centre all the time. Well, it looks like this here magnificent machine has finally been fixed. Even the automatic stop works, for heaven's sake. I'll try and see if this test recording actually worked. Well, that worked pretty well. This tape, by the way, is out of the answer phone, so it is in a bit of a state. So don't be put off by the crappy sound. This thing is covered in little LED lights. There are two level indicator meters, for one thing, that flicker back and forth. There's an FM stereo lamp, there's a recording lamp, there's an AC power lamp, and there's a Dolby noise reduction lamp as well. All LEDs. Resurrecting the tape mechanism on this took some doing, as it was in a bit of a state. But just try and see if it will record. There's only one microphone. Despite the impressive size of this thing, it's not like the Sharp GF 7700, I think it is, I've got, which has two and a variable record level. The level on here is automatic, so it might not be quite as good as the Sharp, but it is nevertheless a very nice machine. There's a little problem with the speakers. There's a moving coil tweeter in each, and I suspect whoever blew the original speakers in it, probably by using them with a set that was quite a lot more powerful than this, and this is powerful enough, blew the tweeters too. So I've got a pair of lightly looking tweeters here, and they're only weeny things, as you see, but I'm going to have to make up a piece of ply with a hole cut in there in order to fit them inside, because they are, believe it or not, a bit bigger than the ones that are in it. They're definitely moving coil tweeters, because rather than those crappy crystal things, because there's a little capacitor in series with them, so yeah, which you wouldn't see if they were the crystal type. Anyway, try it on just recording from the microphone. You have to press play and record in together. This is recording on the Hitachi Ghetto Blaster, TRK 9300E, I think, from memory. Just to see what the whole thing sounds like, automatic level, but it will be AC bias, which was the better recording system, of course. This is recording on the Hitachi Ghetto Blaster, TRK 9300E, I think, from memory. Just to see what the whole thing sounds like, automatic level, but it will be AC bias, which was the better recording system, of course. Well, it's not bad. As with any radio recorder or cassette recorder with a built-in mic, you are picking up a bit of whir from the motor. But, you know, that is to be expected. There we are, the automatic stop cutting out. It's amazing the bit of difference a bit of tinkering can make, because this thing was quite easy to get apart. It's a bit unwieldy because it's sheer size. It's nearly as deep as it is wide. You can see how deep the thing is there. The speakers fit on with a sort of keyway thing. Turn that one round and you can see they slide on and then clip into position with this. So Yeah, it always takes me a wee bit of a few seconds to try and work out how they've arranged this one, because no two ghetto blasters appear to be the same in that regard. Some are really easy, some are a bit tricky, and some are downright, oh, well, you know. But yeah, I think we seem to have got this beast to work properly. You've got normal chrome and metal tape selection on here, and mode switch for mono, stereo and FM, Dolby noise reduction, automatic frequency control so you don't wander off your station once you're tuned in. Loudness down there, there's your band selector. Unusually, both function and band selectors are a sort of rotary switch rather than push buttons. And then down here, volume, balance, under tone, treble and bass. Now the little sliders that should be there weren't present when I had this, I'm afraid, so of course I don't think I could make such a thing. I might be able to, but don't hold your breath, as they say. Cassette mechanism's nice and smooth when you eject too. Inside down there, clean as a whistle now. It was full of dust, so was the top of this thing, because you can see there's a ventilator grill on top. And yeah, not the best idea in the world to fit something electronic with a grill on top. Turning it round, I see the various connections. The connections there for separate microphones, so the whirring thing isn't the problem. A, B, C, RF, that's your beat switch. Or if you ever wanted to record from an AM station and you got that birdie whistle sound because of interference from the tape drive's oscillator system to do with the eraser recording, switch it to whichever mode and it would cancel it out. Well, it did on some models, but other models it didn't make any difference. 5-pin DIN plug, because this of course is made for the European market. Connections there for phono. Whether that's a ceramic cartridge or a magnetic one, I have no idea. So I don't know whether it's equalised or non-equalised. If it's a ceramic, it's unlikely to be equalised, because for some reason they just didn't do it. It just didn't seem to need that. This is where the makers of crappophones go wrong, as quite often they don't realise what circuitry went into a record player, because probably the people that make those things and designed them, they weren't around when record players were being used en masse. So hence the tinny sound. They haven't quite got the preamp right on it, have they? And then you've got a selector switch here, phono or line in, grounding pin there. This is where you'd attach a proper FM aerial if you wanted to. AC power off and on switch. Quite unusual nowadays, isn't it, to see that. Usually when you plug this lead in, which is a standard figure of 8 lead, but a ghetto blaster lead, that shuts off the battery supply and all this sort of thing. But with this one you have to turn this AC power on, and I assume remove any batteries that are present in there, or it might try to charge them. Some were wired up like that, others weren't. And then there's a centre tip negative connection there, a little circular thing for DC 15 volts. And behind here is the battery compartment, if I can get the lid off. It's like everything, it's very well made on here. Battery ribbon's still there, the foam's just starting to go to gingerbread there. So it shows you how old it is. But the contacts themselves are perfectly alright, there's no corrosion or anything. Mind you, I'm not surprised. I wouldn't have wanted to pay out for 15 HP2 batteries in 1982. It would have cost a bloody fortune. Oh dear, yeah. And of course, AC in there, the figure of 8 lead, normal thing. So, yeah, quite an impressive piece of kit. And I can't remember how this came to me now, whether it was thrown my way or if I found it at a boot sale or what. But it just seemed too nice a machine to throw away. And with a new head in it, and with all the gunge rubbish cleaned out, the capstan put to rights, and everything serviced and as it ought to be, sure enough, it's not got a bad sound, even though the tweeters don't work at the moment. 5-inch long throw speakers on cloth surrounds, those are. The originals were foam and had just deteriorated, so all you got was a sort of farting sound if you tried to play any. Well, you couldn't play the tape, but you could play the radio, and all that came out was a farting sound. But at least with the cloth surround speakers, I've got some ITT speakers that have Pioneer drivers, and they must be 10 years older than this set from the very early 70s, and they're still perfect. So this should last quite a long time yet, we hope. Anyway, so that's that little lot sorted out, and see you again soon.